Jesus. Hello and welcome to the award-winning gutter. Did you say Jesus on camera then?
Probably, because you've just burst one of my fucking eardrums.
Very James Sutton. I'll introduce you that way, not as Jesus, as James Sutton. What they don't need to know, the viewers, is that just before we go on, we have to clap loudly as some sort of marker thing, and I nearly burst your eardrum, didn't I, James?
It wasn't ideal.
You got mine as well. I had a little reverberation.
Yeah.
Kavanagh enjoyed it, Blundell
He's too
enjoyed
far away to hear it properly, though.
I should do it again. Listen, let's calm down and be sensible and talk about if James
This
is
show's
going
not sensible.
Let's talk about if James is going in the celebrity jungle. James, can I believe that? That's the bigger room than any transfers connecting Liverpool to footballers. That's what they want to hear.
Ricardo Oficial.
People want to see me in skimpy fucking swimwear under a waterfall in a jungle. Is that what you're saying?
I'm seeing you in a Tarzan outfit.
Look,
It's got...
I just want to give the boys and girls what they want.
It's got to be worth something.
Wow, I'm spending all this time on the physique. I might as well get a few dollars for it.
What wouldn't you eat in the jungle?
Fuck it, all of it. That's the main thing that would put me off. Is like I know a few people who've done it and they've come back saying I was starving hungry the entire time. Like there's no fucking food. They don't like feed them off camera.
Really?
Yeah, no. It's what you see.
So if you're not eating spiders, you're not getting fed.
Kangaroo bollocks and whatever else they eat. I mean, come on.
It's awful, isn't it?
It's awful.
I think that's a no.
The things people will do for fame and fortune.
Why are you making us talk about the jungle, James? It's a serious transfer. It's a serious transfer show, man. There's so many Liverpool transfer rumours to get.
So much to talk about.
Many. This is I'm playing for time. How many minutes have we done? No, we're only joking. We love talking about transfers, and there's lots to talk about. Well, actually, Lewis Steele said yesterday, Liverpool have thus far remained firm on their stance that they will not act in the January transfer market due to their injuries, but it remains to be seen whether the Bradley blow changes that. The Bradley blow following the Isak blow, which has followed the Leone blow.
The Ekatike.
Blow me, Phil. No. It's...
Wow.
Wow. All right. In all seriousness.
Hang on. You want me to get to in all seriousness that quickly? Okay.
All right. Steady yourself.
Right, go.
I just wonder how many season-ending injuries Liverpool can take before they go, we might have to buy someone, you know. Do you think it's credible? We started the season with X number in the squad. It wasn't a huge amount because I think the net buying and selling slightly reduced the capacity of the squad overall. So to at this stage have lost 3 guys from it, to be 3 down on that, in percentage terms is not small, especially if you compare to last season where at this stage you'd say we were none down in terms of writing them off for the rest of the season. It feels like if the season starts now, we're a very compromised squad.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because of the way the sort of UEFA homegrown rules work, we've got 3 players who are a serious problem if they get a season-ending injury. One of them is Conor Bradley, the other 2 are Curtis Jones and Joe Gomez, because you cannot replace them with anybody else bar an academy player unless you do some manoeuvring around the squad. We are fully at our limit on foreign players at the minute.
Yeah.
We can't get a foreign
So
player
we have to sell to buy.
Without moving anyone in.
Right.
We're all right on English/homegrown players. We are able to bring one of them in, so it really does limit what you can actually do without either moving anybody out or cutting someone off and saying your value to us is now 0, which then doesn't help because they say, for example, Federico Chiesa didn't make the European squad. If you then now go, well, sorry, you're not in the European squad again, that means that we're probably going to try and move him on either in this month or in the summer.
Still use him in the
and when
Premier
you
League.
do that, you can still use him in the Premier League, but you are also saying that he is at the cusp of not being particularly valuable to you. So how do you get money in for him? So it's a tough sort of pinch point to work around and manage properly. But it is in a position where
It sounds like woke nonsense to me, Phil. It's too complicated.
But we are down to 6 defenders and 2 of them are left backs who could only play left back.
Yeah.
So that is kind of a problem in itself. You're effectively therefore going, you've got, 4 players for the other 3 positions? Is that right? Yeah, that's right, isn't it? Kanate, Gomez, Van Dijk, and...
Well, you have to get towards people like Round. You have to start looking at the academy fringe.
Yeah,
don't you?
absolutely. But like Calvin Ramsey isn't even in the European squad at present.
No. When do we get to reappraise that? If we get
I think it's after the group stage.
The end of the month.
So end of the month.
Window.
So
yeah.
once transfer window's closed, you can change it all up and stuff like that and go from there. But it is in a position we are particularly easy to move things around with, so it is quite tough. But that doesn't mean that they shouldn't do it. And if they have to move players on that the manager has shown no real inclination to do, then they should do that. Like Wataru Endo, for example, has played about 25 minutes all season. outside of a League Cup game against Southampton, something like that. I can't remember the exact.
When you say move on, just to be clear, say you could find two foreign players to bring in this window. You could not register Wataru Endo and Chiesa for the European competition. You could
You'd
still
probably
keep,
you'd devalue them quite heavily.
you devalue them, but from small value, but not in actual monetary terms.
Oh, in the monetary terms, absolutely.
Well,
Because you'll then get into the summer. If someone goes, here's 10 million for Chiesa, you're now basically saying, well, we're not that important. You can't have 10 million. We'll give you 5 million.
You're not-
We are doing that.
Well, if you could use either of them at all in the remainder of the season, there's still more league games and European games left to play. So it's not that binary in a certain sense.
It's not like you're cutting them off completely.
No.
But you are just sort of saying they're not actually that important to us.
But also you're not parking a £30 million player. You're parking players with
absolutely.
5 to 10. Jay, I mean, it goes without saying. I think if you ask any supporter who's a supporter, quite frankly, they're going to say, yeah, of course, I think we should do business. Not just because we've got these injuries, because we clearly need something. The season's not gone according to plan. There's obvious deficits in the squad. But analysing the situation, do you see the club doing anything?
I don't think so this window. I think a lot of it does lend itself to the fact you mentioned there with the registration issues regarding sort of foreign players coming in. You do need then to sell to bring someone in. I think reacting in the market can be dangerous because if you look at the situation around Conor Bradley at the moment, if you then go and buy a right back, you're then sort of saying going into next season with 3 right backs and you can't play with 3. You can't have 3 full backs unless the pathway for Frimpong is he's going to start playing right wing, and then that negates the fact of buying another forward player, which I think we're light on at the moment. But we were after the transfer window, to be honest. We lost after Jota, Nunes and Diaz. We only brought in 2 forwards to replace them. Chiesa's not getting a look in, so he's sort of a player like going forward already. But yeah, I don't think we'll make any sort of moves this window. I think it is going to be another busy summer in terms of outgoings mainly. But I think I wouldn't react that so quickly in the market this month unless someone is going to go.
You think we can get? You think there's a world where we can get through this without suddenly beginning to mine the academy, though? Potentially,
unless Gahey becomes an option. But by all accounts, it seems as if he's waiting until the summer himself to sort of assess his options. Bayern Munich, rumoured to be circling around him now, as well as Arsenal, Man City, then us. So he's got the choice of some of the best clubs in the world, hasn't he? So it could become a bit of a difficult situation come the summer. To be fair, apart from what I just said there about not reacting in the market, I would go and get Gahey this window.
Yeah.
Because then it alleviates Gomez. Because again, if we get an injury to Konate or Van Dijk long term, you then play with Joe Gomez, who's proven he can't play 3 games in a week. He can't be a first choice starting centre half or right back, which he has been for us in the past. He falls to pieces, doesn't he? So I think the only move I would make is go and get Gahey or another centre half option.
I think it was Gibbo made a point, James, on a show. Maybe it was a couple of gutters ago. God, they're coming so thick and fast and losing
it's that time of year.
Space and time. I think he made the point that just because you've had loads of injuries doesn't mean you ain't going to get loads more. In fact, quite the opposite applies. Injuries begat injuries.
Yep.
Now, I said, just hypothetically, if you imagine the season starting now, we're starting the season 3 important squad players down. 2 of them arguably first 11 players in Isak and Bradley. I struggle to see how, if we get even just a bit unluckier in the second half of the season, how it won't begin to seriously compromise us. We look like we're at absolute capacity for injuries as it stands at the moment. Without it seriously compromising our chances of probably getting top 4 and certainly troubling the last phases of the Champions League.
Yeah, it does feel like there's kind of sticky plasters all over the squad at the moment, doesn't it? But I mean, Jay's right. In terms of getting players in January, it's a difficult market. Like those players, the players that we're talking about, the players that do improve the squad beyond the end of the season, which is what they're going to be looking for, they don't often become available, Gahey aside. But this quote that Liverpool are their firm stance that they won't act in the January transfer market. I think given the injuries that we are, football's a transient thing. There's lots of moving parts, lots of injuries coming around. You can't just put a blanket ban on transfers and say that, and whether that's just a narrative that they're kind of putting out there to stop premiums being put on players because other outlets know that Liverpool are desperate. I'm not sure, but we have to get someone in defence. As you say, if anything happens to Gomez, Like we're in big trouble.
And that's an incredible statement. I mean, Man
I never thought I'd be saying that at this part of this season.
Well, okay, I'll come to you, Phil, and you come back at me. Man City had a really rocky autumn coming into the winter last season. Reacted by, I think, buying 4 in the January into Marmouche, is it Gonzalez?
Khrushchev.
Yeah.
Khrushchev and Reece Rice, who they put on. Is it?
Yeah, Vita
Yeah.
Rice.
Peter Rice.
Now, they arguably only really got any service out of 1.5 of them, or 1 and
I'm
3.
not even sure it's 1.5.
Well, yeah, but they were able to go out and do the business. Well, let's put it this way: they managed to stabilise their season, get it on course enough to finish 3rd in the league, which they weren't on course to at that point in January. So there was some. Of course, you can't put what they did in the January window down to that. But Marmouche's goals now and again didn't do any harm. It definitely helped. I'd sort of take their window now, for example. What were you going to say anyway before you?
I was basically going to say the point about they're not going to do anything or whatever is Liverpool tell you that they're opportunistic and will happily sit there and so every time they say, we're not going to do this, it's clearly not true. Because if the right deal came along, they would do it. That's literally what they do. That's literally what they've told you for a number of years now. Yeah. So sitting there and going, well, they're not going to do this just because, well, if it turns out that Mark Gay is available for 20 million quid and he wants to come here, the idea that, they're not going to try and do it, they would do that. Let's be perfectly honest, they would do that.
The question as fans is, what does a right deal look like? Like, Liverpool can always say, of course we'll react to solid market opportunities. Well, their solid market opportunity might be ours over conservatism, right? So it's not, even knowing that they don't literally mean it when they say we don't think we'll do any business. We know they don't literally mean it. But are they saying there's only a 2% chance we'll do something? There's only a 2% chance that Palace are mugs enough to give us Mark Gahey for 20 million. So it's that I'm trying to get to the bottom of.
I was going to say, there's lots more variables at play for them than there are as us at fans who we can look at it and think, well, there's a glaring gap in our squad. We're a player short up front. It wouldn't be bad to get another midfielder in. But for them, they're looking at things like sell-on value. They're looking at, as I say, further on than the end of the season. They're looking at all these different things that we necessarily don't consider. So the right deal is a much more complicated thing than just getting a body in, because we've done that before with players. We've just got someone in and it's kind of worked a little bit, but actually hasn't improved the quality and the value of the squad, which is ultimately what we're trying to do.
Yeah, it's all well and good going, we'll go out and sign him and we'll sort this out, and then it's Ozan Kabak again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right.
That then we don't. I think the thing about FSG and the way we're ran sort of data-driven wise is like we wait for the right player at the right time. We see it with Van Dijk. We could have got him in the summer, then had to wait until the January to go get him. I think that's a big part of it as well. I think the structure at the very top of the transfer committee, whoever it is, sort of whatever role they've got, it's all very data-driven and they all wait for the right player at the right time. They're not going to overspend in January because, like you mentioned before, there's going to be premiums on players in January to move mid-season. There's that sort of period where that 6 month end of the season, that's their bedding in period, but you want to do that in pre-season, so they're hitting the ground running when the season starts rather than figuring out why you're sort of in the business end of the season, getting to sort of February, March time, the Champions League, like latter stages if we get there, those kind of things. So I think, again, that's probably why it doesn't really point towards a signing much, if anyone, this window, unless Gahey becomes available. But I think it's Palace's interest to probably keep Gahey at this point because they're in a European competition. They feel like they're probably going to go very far and they could probably win that competition, can't they?
But there's a paradox, though, with them keeping JJ, which is, yes, they'd like to keep him, but the cost of keeping him is they get £0, 0p in the summer. And the paradox is this, is that the more his value goes up, and it has gone up since the start of the season, the bigger that gap is, the bigger the chance they're sort of taking. Yeah, we'd like a good second half of the season. What, more than you want the 35 million that could sort your PSR out?
Yeah. We'll also sign 2 players.
Yeah,
also you could then flip for a total.
The whole Gahey leaves them, though, they need to pay more than what they receive for him in January to replace him. If that makes any sense. So say they get 25 million for him, they need to spend more than 25 million to then replace him, whether that's on 2 players who's a young player, then maybe a senior player, or they're buying, can't think of any names off the top of my head, but like a player who's similar to Gahey's level, not far off, who could reach that.
Gareth Branthwaite.
They'd have to do that.
Gareth Branthwaite, let's start a rumour.
But they'd have to do that in June anyway, though. So
yeah, but if they keep Gahey and they then win the Conference League,
they're in the Europa League.
They're in the Europa League, the prize money off the back of that. That can subsidise it.
It's down to what their expectations are for next season.
Yeah. And with Glasner as well, obviously his future sort of in doubt at the moment, isn't it? I don't think he'll be there next season either, to be honest. But
which is part of the reason he stayed as well, is because the manager was like, well, I'll walk if you get rid if you sell him. Well, it's like, well, if he says that now, it's not all them water, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, he's a homegrown academy product.
Not for us.
For them.
For that, no, he's not. Because he signed
Chelsea.
him from Palace. He signed him from Chelsea. He's Chelsea player.
Does he count in terms of okay, but in PSR terms, do they bought him for nothing? So
No, they paid money for him.
was it a lot?
I want to say about 15 million.
Was it that much?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I thought they were looking to crystallise quite a healthy profit.
Pretty sure they signed him for a reasonable amount of money.
Okay, because but let's say they can make a £20 million profit on him in PSR terms, amortised over 4 years. You said that's £80 million of the PSR headroom. It's quite a lot of PSR involved here. And I think Parish, the chairman, was stressed to say that. This is one I could see being done by some club or other on January 31st, depending on desperation. Yeah. I think by January the 31st, a number of clubs, City, who don't seem to have many fit centre-halves, us, who may have no fit centre-halves by then, in particular, those two clubs, and Parish at Palace, who you're seeing on February the 1st, £35 million gone down the toilet, for PSR purposes. Those three parties may sort of reach a point of quasi-panic on the 31st and a deal actually get done. And it might be the player who holds all the cards at that point and goes, no, I don't think so, or yes, I will, but you City or you Liverpool or even you Arsenal are going to pay me a small fortune to make this happen now. So we'll keep watching it. I want to go back to a theme I sort of touched on earlier, James, which is about if Liverpool's squad is to be, if they are to stick rather than twist this window, which I think the betting would be on at this stage, they are to pick up the inevitable injuries that they will pick up unless we're exceedingly lucky. It feels to me they will have to mine the youth talent we have in the club a bit more. And players who we see sparingly little of so far, like Trey Ione and Rio Ngamoa, may see more minutes than we think. And we may even get on to names that some fans don't even know yet.
Lucky.
Yeah,
We're going to see more Lucky.
Yeah, I'll tell you why I asked the question. It's a loaded question because there's something very, excuse me, my flu's not shifting. God, despite flu jabs. I mean, James, who'd you get in touch with? Anyway, that's another problem for another day. The manager who has had his flu jab, and it's worked for him because he hasn't had flu, I've noticed. He's been superb in press conferences. Jesus, what a digression. Oh well. He said, when talking about Rio Ngamoa, you're shaking your head behind me. I'm pretending that's not happening.
I mean, I'll do it in front of you if you want.
He said about Rio Ngamoa, we've got to watch his minutes because of things like stress fractures happening to young players who've been overplayed, overtrained, like Jane Downs, like, did he cite somebody else? Maybe by Chetic. I mean, that's deeply worrying. Liverpool have lost a lot of young players to injuries in recent years. And Calvin Ramsey's only just coming back from years in the injury wilderness, which there's Downs by Chetic. Who else? Cade Gordon. Hell of a
that was unfortunate though, the Cade Gordon one.
Well, it seems to be, I don't know exactly what it was, but it seemed to be injury following injury. And I mean, going back not so long ago, Rhian Brewster, one of the biggest prospects in the academy. It feels like that Conor Bradley may also be a case in point, I would say, regrettably.
I feel like he might just be chronically unlucky.
He might be chronically unlucky, but there's a lot of chronic unluckiness going on with these academy players.
There is, yeah. I mean, Bajcetic is the one that's just baffling to me. The amount of times that we've been expecting him to come back and it hasn't quite worked, and you hear rumours that he's back to full fitness, and then again there's another injury. Like, I don't know if it's just been criminally mismanaged or something, but there's something. It doesn't seem right. I mean, they're right to they're right to not be concerned, but they're right to address the glaring situation, which is that so many young players get injured. But for players like Rio Ngamoa, who I would argue have had quite a nice, not gentle involvement in the squad so far, but have had he's had some minutes, he's played in some big matches, he's scored, he's done things, he's part of the squad. There've been a few times this season where I think we've been crying out for a player like that to come on. Forget Parker's age, it has absolutely no relevance really, or his experience level. You've got this really exciting player who fucking terrifies defences, plays with all the confidence and arrogance of someone, with 10 years plus experience. So that maybe that comes down to a tactical thing. Slot is, arguably keeping the brakes on a lot of these players. I think we're playing, quite passive at times. But a player like that, we're crying out for them to get more starts. I can't think of a reason why he's not played more games. I'm just going to use that as one case. But Rio Ngamoa, for me, should definitely be playing more.
Yeah, it's a tough one with Ingamo because you watch him and you're like, I really want to watch him play football. And then the manager talks like that and you're like, okay, I sort of understand why not. I mean, I would assume we're going to get to watch him tonight against Barnsley. That's quite fun. I would personally rather he'd not been in the Champions League squad and was playing in that Europa Youth League. But then you're sort of thinking, oh, well, maybe that's not the best way. Listen, I think we have got a body of evidence that there's been a slight problem with how we've been bringing youngsters through. So it sort of does make sense to me that they're sort of being a bit careful on him. And I'm glad the manager said this because it's something that I don't think a lot of people have really considered.
I suppose it's hard to say when you see the cream of Europe, I know there's an extreme version of Lamine Yamal and Yan Diomande breaking through at similar ages and playing regularly. I mean, of course, there may be a sting in the tail with those players, but it doesn't seem weird that a 17 coming towards 18-year-old should be getting more minutes if he's good enough.
No, you got to remember he is just 17 though. He's not been.
I suppose so.
He's
Yeah,
not.
November,
He's not nearly 18. He's more 16 than 18 at this point, I think.
That's a good point. Yeah.
If that makes sense. And I've got Andy looking at me like he's 27 till he's 28 and whatever.
Yeah.
And the manager has pointed out that he has played more minutes than any 17-year-old in the country or something like that. So it isn't like he's just been thrown away, cast aside, and we've not played him. And it is also an area of the pitch we're not too bad on. If he was a right back, for example, I sort of think he might actually play quite a bit more in the coming months.
Yeah.
So it's just about managing. We have to manage these players. We have a responsibility to them and to the club to do that because even if they don't necessarily make it as first team players, they are assets that we can use. Like take Pacetic, for example. Like there's a world now where he leaves on a free transfer.
Somebody else gets.
Imagine after that run in, what was it? Will it have been 3 years ago? It'd have been 3 years ago, won't it? Early 23 it was?
22, 23.
Yeah. Well, so imagine in that period going, well, I'll tell you what, you'll barely see him play ever again.
How old is he? 25 now.
He's getting his pension next year. But if you think about, for example, he plays against Lask in the Europa League.
Yeah.
And I think that might be the last game he
Yeah, I
played,
think it was, yeah. A right back, I think.
Yeah. And imagine being told that, I think he might play a couple of other games that season, but it was around then where he didn't see him and he's gone out on loan a couple of times. But imagine being told then that this player that everyone was really excited about ends up leaving for free. Basically because injuries have just got the better on him and we can't get in a position where he's useful for Liverpool. It would be really peculiar to go back and tell anyone that, but that's ultimately what has quite possibly happened, and it does show you that you need to be very careful with these players.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could really have done with Jayden Downs in this run-in, given where we're at.
He'd be playing tonight if he was fit.
Oh, 100% he was.
I think we'd have seen more of him already this season.
Yeah, I think so.
He had some minutes earlier, didn't he? Was it against Southampton or something in the League Cup? He came on a little lively. Was it Palace? I can't remember. We have seen.
Wasn't Palace.
Into the start last season.
I don't think he was. I think he got injured very early. I don't think he's played this season.
In the squad. Okay, but then another case in point. Who do you expect to see from the younger?
I think Rio's the obvious one to come in. The only other one I can see, Calvin Ramsey, if you can count him. I think he probably plays tonight. I think just to.
Do you think Trey gets a few more minutes?
Yeah, I think. So.
Yeah, I think Leone. Yeah, but you look at Engamoa and Leone. They're quite lightweight, aren't they? You know, Jayden Downs is similar age, maybe a year or two older. He's a big presence, isn't he? He's a tall lad. He's stocky already. You look at Engamoa, he's only little, isn't he? He's only very slight. Trey Leone's the same. He's not built like that, is he? Where muscular-wise, he's physically not able to maybe make that jump up to men's football yet, in a sense, and play regular first-team football for the men. When we saw it with Curtis Jones as well, when he broke through, he had a bit of time away. I think that might just be letting the bodies catch up to them in terms of the demand of the Premier League. And you can be the best player in the world for the under-18s or the under-21s reserve team, whatever it is, but making that jump up is massive into the men's game, into the real footballing world. So I think that's also why you probably see them not use them as much with Bicetic. I think his injury problems are probably a little bit different because he seems like he's injury prone. He played a bit for his last Palmas. He was on loan. That was it last season.
He seems like a decent run for us.
Yeah, he played a lot at centre half. They had a centre half issue and he played a lot there for them. But there's a couple of games when you see it on Twitter, don't you? He had a good game and he played well in a handful of games for them. I think they were sort of down the bottom end of the table last Palmas, but. Yeah, I just think Engamoa, Leone, they probably get a look in tonight, don't they? And then it depends who you get in the next round if we progress. If we're through in the top 8 by the time we play Karabag, things like that, getting those minutes in the legs is important for them and not being overly reliant on these young players because play them too young too soon, body can't catch up, and then you get to 23, 24, the legs fall off. We saw it with Saka with his hamstring injury last season. played 33,000 minutes or something by the time he was 21, something like that, or 22, something like that. It's a lot of minutes, and in contrast, Cole Palmer played like 10,000 minutes, and he's not too dissimilar in age. So that sort of build-up of minutes over a sort of short period of time, and you're heavily reliant on them starting every single week, can have an effect long-term. So I think being conservative with them is probably the best way to go until they feel maybe that physically they can handle it. And it might, some players might hit it at 18, some might hit it at 22. It just depends on each player. You've got to take it on like a case-by-case basis with these young players.
I just think going back to what we were talking about, the state of our season and the state of our medical emergencies at the moment, you know, you've got to kind of balance those young players, as you rightly say, and their minutes and their development, and make sure that they're not getting knocked and not getting the shit kicked out of them, essentially. But having those bodies, even if, you know, they are slight in build, having them come on for half an hour just to protect a player that's played 3 or 4 games in 10 days, you know, it's that kind of balance, isn't it, that you've got to get right. And I think sometimes, you know, I think you could argue there is a lack of faith in these young players from our manager, that he is a bit wary of playing them in the quote unquote big games. But if it does mean that you know, as I say, a first team player is getting half an hour here and there off, I can see the risk and reward.
I think as well, if there's been games this season, if the season had gone a bit better, and say we're beating Wolves 3-0 with 20 minutes to go, you bring someone off and go, we can save his legs for the next week, and then bring Engamoan on or bring Leone on when the game's a little bit more controlled. I think that's also us not being sort of in control and being a bit more sort of progressive with our play and things like that. That will also lend to that as well. So if playing games where we're conceding goals late on, we're scoring goals late on, we're needing to play the full 90-95 minutes to get a result, you're sort of hesitant to bring these players on then, whereas players are on the fringe of the squad. Like I say, if you're winning a game 3-0 with 20 minutes to go,
which we haven't
done this season, if we were in that position in the season, we would then bring them on.
Let's never say that pre-season again. When we're winning these games 3-0, then you'll be seeing real
sheer arrogance of the boys.
Oh, dear me. Given that we know the Reds are unlikely to do bits this January, let's cast our minds a bit further forward. I want to discuss how we think the summer might shape up, how the planning ahead of the summer might look at the moment. Liverpool went very large last summer, and there was a lot of talk. That's the big one. Be a lot quieter in subsequent summers, Phil. But we're seeing gaps. There's not a position where you can't see that a case for recruitment. Last year, near £500 million spent, but I think near 300 million was brought back in, there or thereabouts. Let's start by looking at how Liverpool might fund a bigger summer than we might have envisaged. Who do you see being the obvious sales, and who do you see being the potential sales?
I don't think
the surprise ones.
Many, to be perfectly honest. I don't think we're in a position where we can do 3 for 3 again. I think that's
no.
I just don't. I think if you say to me Liverpool are going to sign 3 players, I think you struggle to sell more than 1. I just don't.
Are there any in the squad where you go, well, hang on, regardless of having had them available, we need to improve on them, even regardless of the lack of bodies?
I mean, the Bradley situation may mean you need to do something at right back. Other than that, I think the defence is fine. I think the goalkeeper's fine. The midfield is probably at least 1 light, I think. Because we've effectively only got 4 central midfielders that he will use and trust. I think that's.
If I ask Neil this question, he'll go. Neil's adamant we'll sell McAllister.
We might. If we do that, we probably need 3 midfielders.
Well, we need 1 to replace him and the extra.
That's what I'm saying. But I'm saying there's an argument we need 2 anyway.
Yeah.
Because we're quite often getting 4 midfielders on the pitch, and we effectively have 4 and Wirtz that he plays. He's clearly got no interest in Wataru Endo. He doesn't really seem to trust Trainioni yet.
No.
Sure, you take that away, there's 4 of them.
Yeah.
And quite a lot of the time they're all on the pitch. Because Szoboszlai's, you know, either he's been at right back, he's been on the right wing, he's been doing quite a lot.
And the one midfielder they did so they're playing the front 3.
Yeah, exactly. So it might be that you can put Wirtz in there in the longer term when you sort everything out structurally. But I don't think there's any indication we're going to do that for the rest of the season. So that would mean you need numbers there. So there's that. And then the forward line, I don't think you can be, you know, if you move Chiesa on, which I think is possibly quite likely, then there's an argument you need 2 there as well.
Mohamed Salah.
And Mohamed Salah is of an age where
he might be.
He might leave. They might take money for him. He might want to go.
If there's a bid from Saudi.
Yeah, exactly.
For Salah.
So that means you probably that's 4.
Well, so
before you've sold anyone.
Well, hang on.
I'm just saying
4 before you bought it.
4. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can see, James, I can see that we might have to deal with the Salah situation. I think it's actually likelier than not. So that creates another hole. I don't see one of the existing midfielders necessarily moving on this summer, although I think the contract stuff could come to a head, or we could begin to sort of sense whether we might need to think about that. I do wonder with Cody Gakpo,
That's who I was
where
gonna
I think most fans would say now we need a big upgrade on him. It's how him and his agent react. If Liverpool land a big name left winger, how does he react to that? I think is an unknown. That's why I wouldn't rule him out as a possible leave. I think he was linked to Bayern. He said he was linked to Bayern himself, actually, plausibly in the summer. So I don't think he'll leave. I don't think, for us, great, we'll keep you as a squad player, Cody, but it might not suit him. I don't know.
I think there's definitely an upgrade available. That's my biggest thing with Gakpo is I haven't seen him this season and thought that's the Gakpo that I'm looking for. So I think there is an obvious upgrade there. I was looking at Barcola, someone like that who can play on both sides, and go, yeah, that's someone straight away that you can get in who isn't getting the game time over in France, and I think would fit our model really, really well. Someone who's quite versatile. Obviously Mohamed Salah's reaching the end of his career, so you've got a player there, who could play on either side and would be a kind of natural successor to either player. And again, the versatility, which I think is something that you're really looking for across the front, which we've seen. A player like that for me, but Gakpo would be the real one that I think there are question marks over right now.
Yeah, I think if we're wish listing, being reasonable in our wish listing, Jay, you could see Liverpool targeting a Barcola, but you could see them targeting another premium wide man, maybe a Rodrigo or an Elise, and that's why I think
Elise's interesting.
That's why I think the money involved, it might have a knock-on effect to having to make room in the squad. Make room, actually not so much make room, but to part fund. Let's put it this way: if Liverpool could have Barcola and Elise signed for them on June the 1st now, and there was a trade-off to sell Cody Gakpo for I don't know what, I think they'd probably deal on that.
Yeah, I think the big thing about Gakpo as well, he's not long signed a new contract as well, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Like a long-term deal. So you then think, is his plan to stay at Liverpool Football Club for the remainder of that contract, or will Liverpool go, we can now get a sizable fee for him, maybe at least recoup what we spent on him, maybe get sort of 45, 50 million pounds, something like that, maybe a little bit more if you're selling him to a sort of European rival, and then you're looking at upgrading him. But then I think if you sell Gakpo, you then happen to buy two to bring in, unless the plan for Rio Engamoa is then go and play more next season once he's 18 and he's got a bit more experience. Because I thought he'd go out on loan this year, to be honest. I thought he'd go to like Blackburn or somewhere like that. Someone we've dealt with before who looked after Harvey Elliott for us, in Bolton with Conor Bradley, who did really well there. I think Tyler Morton went to Blackburn at one point as well. So we've got clubs sort of in the Championship or even below where we can send these young players out on loan, get the experience and go and play. And then we can come back the next season and try and feature a little bit more like the Conor Bradley model. Sort of, you're looking at one example there and taking it to the extreme and trying to apply it to every single youth player. It's not going to be the case, is it? So I think going forward, I think Yan Diomande is probably the next one, because I think what we've done well is not necessarily buying the best player in that position at the time, like you say, Barcola. I think he'd be the dream sign, and Rodrigo could be that as well, but we're always insistent on buying the next one, someone he can use as a project, and buy him sort of maybe not quite half the price, but buy someone a little bit cheaper, work with him for sort of 5-6 years, and then like what we did with Salah. Salah wasn't the best winger in Europe when we signed him. Spent 35 million on him, and they be made and become the best winger in Europe, possibly in world football, things like that. So I think our model will be sort of focusing on that sort of player, maybe. Do
you think our model slightly changed though, given the transfer window that we've just had, where we buy some finished product players?
It might,
because it felt really different this last transfer window.
Yeah, it felt seismic, didn't it?
Like
it might have just been like a one-off because he needed to, because you look at the contract situations of certain players and go, we needed to spend the money. I think it's hard to say because it only happened the once where we spent that kind of money, so you can't say that's now the blueprint going forward, like what Man City do and spend 300 million every single season. But Arsenal have been able to do under Arteta quite a lot and spend loads of money, sort of 200 million in each window. It's remains to be seen, isn't it? We don't know until the summer happens if anyone goes, and we can go spend 90 million on Elise, which in an ideal world I think out of the choice of Barcola, Elise, we can put Desiree Doué in that mix as well if he can be tempted away from PSG. I think Elise would be the natural Salah replacement, sort of left footed off the right hand side. But it depends what the squad, what the sort of plan is for next season tactically as well, what sort of players the club want, because we've seen so many different systems this season the way we've been playing, different types of profiles of players. So I think it's hard to call it, isn't it? But I think we'd probably, it depended if anyone leaves, we'd probably sign in the next best thing rather than buying the finished article at the minute and spending the big money again.
Do you think they pursue a similar policy as we saw last summer, Phil, was a policy of buying best in class almost? I think you'd say Katike, the best up-and-coming young forward in Europe, Isak, the gettable, the best forward in Europe, Wirtz, best young playmaker in Europe, the best coming through young centre half, etc., etc. That was Kirk's Premier League left back of the year. Wherever you looked, Liverpool were getting prime beef targets. Now we're throwing names out there like the Barcolas and Elises of this world, and even Rodrigo's. This is the same sort of level. Do you think they will look to shop in that way again, or are they going to look at younger punter, what's his name, Malik Fofana here? Or I don't think Yando Amanda's almost moved beyond being a young project, even though he is a young project. Yeah. He's too expensive to class him as a young project. So, but anyway, which I think the market roughly divides for clubs like us. You're either buying a young project, you're either buying proven quality, or you're trying to do the rarest of things, is buy that middle ground of what a player about 23, 24 who looks like they might be ready to explode, and the rest of the football's sleeping on it. But those are the three categories. The last one I said is bloody hard to find, because everyone would do that.
Yeah. I don't think it's limited to anything, to be perfectly honest. I think it's a case of just finding the best player for Liverpool in the short, medium and long term.
The gettable.
If that is, the gettable one. It is, if that's the top shelf, and they can get them, and they think it makes sense, they'll do it. If it's the project, they'll do it. Like I don't think it's like they sit down and go, we need to get top in class, or
I think they
we
do.
need to get projects. I don't think they do now.
This particular job.
I think they basically look at it and go, we need this position. What's available? I think it's that simple.
Yeah, but let me be specific on it. If you think Cody Gakpo hasn't delivered this season, and you think you can't use Rio Ingamoa yet next season, you may be sending him on loan. You've got a problem at left wing. And I would say you're not going to solve it by buying a project necessarily. Or if you really...
Solve it, no. But they have, one of the things they said last summer is they don't want to stop Rio Ingamoa's progression.
No.
So, which does that mean? Because it could mean either.
True.
Like it genuinely could mean they go and sign the top of the absolute top bracket, or they sign someone less, or they do neither. Like it genuinely, there's so many different things it could mean that could mean in that particular context.
They were implying then, I'd say, James, we've circled back around to Rio Ingamoa. They were implying by not wanting to block his progress, I think, that he was second choice left winger to Gakpo. That's what they were implying. But looking at the left wing specifically, I know we've landed on this position in particular. Unless, I don't want to see next season, unless they're telling us now Rio's ready to go, he's ready to catch light, and if Gakpo gets a 2-month injury, it's Rio playing. Unless they're ready to tell us that, I don't want to hear about blocking his progress as a fan next season. I want us to find somebody who can minimum compete with Cody Gakpo, but preferably push Gakpo down the pecking order. And let's say it's, and hopefully within six months, a year, we can go, well, it's Cody blocking Rio's progress. Let's have that conversation. But I don't want to, I think we've left ourselves light in that position in terms of cover and quality, and it needs solving. It's solving now, quite frankly.
Yeah, 100%. But it starts with getting someone in, and the names that we've spoken about fit the profile for me. But there's this blocking his progress thing is strange. It's a strange one for me, because why hasn't he had any minutes? Why aren't you bringing him on? Like I said before, like if you like you're saying we don't want to block his progress, but you are literally blocking his progress.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah.
Help me out.
You're giving him no chance to progress, and maybe that'll change tonight against Barnes.
Absolutely.
Let's finish on something. We're wish listing big names like Barcola, Rodrigo, Elise, Jay. But what's the plausibility of Liverpool landing that level of name this summer, given the status of the club we might project from where we stand now? Last summer, Liverpool Football Club's stock was as high as I can remember it in my lifetime, in a certain sense, certainly in the modern era. There were top players available in the market, and Liverpool were positioned to say to the market, one, we've got the money, probably at the level we need for the first time, but also we're going to be favourites for our league and the Champions League next year. We are the club to move to in Europe. This coming summer, not so much.
Yeah, the dynamic changes, because in the summer we say we're Premier League champions, the project's there. You can see you've got a new manager who's come in, won the league in his first season. You can sort of sell that project as he's going to be here for the next 10 years possibly. he starts off with winning what we've all wanted to win, sort of in front of our own fans with the Premier League. We can now kick on and then move on to the Champions League and then maybe have like an era of dominance. You can sort of see that as a project to these players when you're sort of trying to sell Liverpool Football Club to them. This season, if you finish top 4 and you don't win a trophy and you get knocked out in the Champions League, it's sort of a different conversation then, isn't it? You know, the sell's a bit harder and maybe have to throw a bit more money at them to bring these sort of players in. So I think that will sort of play into it as well, where we end up sort of at the end of the season. I
think the big one's the Champions League.
Yeah, I think we can. I think the way we're set up when we play, there isn't teams who sit back in low blocks, is there, in the Champions League? Certainly not with the new format of the league, rather than it being a group stage where, you know, teams are grinding out results for the past 2 games to get draws and go through. Everyone's playing sort of to get as many points as possible as quick as they can. So everyone's expansive. Everyone's sort of playing to an extent. Not everyone. Carabao aren't going to play that way because
they'll change in the knockouts. So.
Yeah, and once he gets to the knockouts, it will change. Which I think will suit us more. I think we saw that in the Arsenal game, a team where they're a bit more open. We play a bit more sort of the team that we know we can be. I know we didn't get the result, but the performance is a lot more encouraging. So it just depends on where we are in the summer as well.
We have to impress Europe, I think.
That's the one for me is the Champions League. We get far in the Champions League, you know, a semi-final, and that conversation continues.
Oh, yeah,
Liverpool
definitely.
are still
beat a big side,
still up there.
If you get top 4, win the FA Cup, and then get to the last stage of the Champions League,
right.
That's realistically that's a good season for us now, isn't it? I think for me, we all have a Wembley day out, don't we? So I think the FA Cup's one I think I'd go for. Top 4 feels like it has to be the minimum for us in the league. We have to get there, and then obviously in Europe. Liverpool in Europe, you know, it's just hand-in-hand marriage, isn't it? So you don't know what can happen there, sort of, you know, semi-finals, Anfield nights under the lights, those sort of things. So we can get to a final and then see what happens there. But I think in terms of players coming in, I think the left wing's obviously a position that needs addressing. So like I say, whether you go and try and spend the money on a Barcola who will cost 75 million, sort of saying around that sort of area.
It could be a lot more.
Whether he could be prized away from PSG, because, you know, he's French himself, isn't he? He's come through sort of that system there. So as much as you might want the player and he's not getting the minutes, does he even want to leave? So that's why I think sort of looking at the next best thing is, or the one who's about to explode, is probably the better option, because I was looking at Jan Diomande and his numbers are really good. He's got 9 goals and assists this season in 14 games. 6 goals, 3 assists. His progressive carries are really good. He's in the high percentiles for what you want, attacking the box, ball progression, interceptions as well. So he wins the ball high up the pitch, and the way he plays when you watch him, he's direct, he's fast, he's a bit more the Diaz type than what Gakpo is. He picks the ball up, he can take it past 2 or 3 players, he can get you sort of 30 yards up the pitch carrying the ball, which I think is what we've been missing this season.
Big time.
So a player of that sort of profile, and it is sort of similar player types, if you like, when you look across Europe, at Barcola, Doué and Kvaratskhelia.
We talked about him on Saturday, Scott. I don't think he's quite 19. I think he might be.
I think he's 19 now. Yeah.
Sorry, he's a November birthday, so he's 20 next November.
Yeah.
He's more 18 than 20.
He was like
Don't break his brain again!
Tell you what he is, a top red. Have you seen his
seen
quotes?
that, yeah.
Great.
He absolutely loves the Reds. His dad loves
Just
the
get him
Reds.
in. We don't need to talk about this one anymore. Get him in.
Yeah.
I kind of think so. Should we shake hands on Jan Diomande? You're obviously very big Jan Diomande. Have you seen? We talked about Saturday as well. His kid brother. No, it's not his kid brother. His friend on the other wing. He's on the right. I think Nusa is on the left.
He failed a medical at Brentford, though, I think.
Did he?
Yeah.
I'm
pretty sure he failed about 18 months ago he was going to Brentford and failed a med. I'm almost certain it was him. I might have got. I'm now thinking it wasn't Brentford, but there was a club.
There was someone he was linked with.
Genuinely got. He was about to sign for someone and he failed a medical.
Now, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure he failed a medical.
More 22 than 21.
Maybe, who knows?
Who knows? We were linked to him actually by Indy.
Yeah.
Indy linked.
Indy, yeah.
And Indy knows. So I don't think we've got any more. I think we're on fumes here, James. Any more jungle chat for us?
I love we've looped round to the jungle.
What are the odds of
Yeah,
James Sutton, jungle, get me the fuck out of here.
What are the odds?
2026.
I mean, what are the odds on Gutmann doing it instead of Anton?
I'm not doing no jungles. Too many spiders, too many kangaroo bollocks. Just no. Whatever Jay says. Right, thank you, boys. And even Phil. No, it's been an amazing show, such a journey, and we'll see you all soon. I think Thursday-ish maybe.